surprisingly, Italy's most important American ambassador was not born in Italy, but rather in the United States. His name is Dr. John Mariani, and he and his brother Harry have done more to introduce Italian culture to America than any Italian diplomat. John's first major achievement was the marketing and sales of Riuniti Lambrusco. With Riuniti, John created a virtual Italian ambassador in a bottle. Over the past 40 years, listen to this number. People in the wine business, you have to pay attention to this. 150 million cases of Riuniti was sold. Wow. You know? Folks, that is almost 2 billion bottles, billion with a B. I think we're all waiting for the billion case brand to happen. It may happen soon with the way consumption in America is growing. Just as the Gallo brothers introduced Americans to the pleasures of California wine, the Marianis introduced millions of Americans to the pleasures of Italian wine, putting an imported wine on American tables for the very first time, essentially creating a template for importers. Many of the importers in this room, if you realize that Banfi may have been the first really powerful importer to really introduce Americans to wines from a foreign land. Later, John would create Castello Banfi in the tiny village of Montalcino, where the family purchased the 13th century castle, planting vineyards, and building a state-of-the-art winery. In just 3 decades, by introducing modern winemaking techniques, Castello Banfi became Italy's most honored vineyard estate, helping to raise the image of Italian wines, now ranked among the greatest in the world. And Carlo Farini is another reason for that. John later proved that Banfi's ability to build awareness of European wines was only one of his stellar achievements. When he replicated his success in Italy with success in Chile, Concitoro was an unknown brand that John grew to 2 million cases, introducing quality Chilean wines to America and setting the stage for a Chilean wine explosion in the U.S. From vast quantity to great quality, from one end of the spectrum to the other, John and the Mariani family have made a major difference in the international wine scene.
Basically, I am American by nationality, but my roots, I think, go right back to the Etruscans and the Romans. I just love it here in Italy, and you can't help but love it because life is beautiful. The heritage began with my father. My father invited me to join the business. It was small, but I saw a future. My brother and I set about to build a team in Italy.
It is our fondest desire that this project will be good for the people of Montalcino, good for Italy, good for America, good for all people who love fine wine.
And the traditionalist in Italy would say, "Young man, why are you coming to my winery telling me how to make wines? My family have been producing it for 400 years this way." And I kept telling him, but that's not what our customers want. It took us 2 years to develop Riuniti Lambrusco. We thought first of the consumer. Taste was important, but the wine had to be made pure and naturally. How did the consumer respond? Well, more than 150 million cases have been enjoyed around the world. The real way that you benefit mankind is sharing your knowledge with others. We look at Concitoro. When we joined forces with them, we shared with them and they prospered, and they in turn will share with others. I like to think that We were the first to reduce the use of sulfites. Through more healthy grapes starting in the vineyards, we've introduced nitrogen bottling. We're combining very fine oak with stainless steel so we can ferment under controlled temperatures in wood. We're now into electrodialysis to cleanse our wines of any impurities. We're using nature's way to make pure, more natural wine.
The Marianis are loved by Italian people everywhere, but over in Italy, people were still talking about their generosity after the terrible earthquake.
John Mariani certainly takes a leadership position in education. As an alum of Cornell, he endowed the first and probably the only endowed chair for wine education and management.
Since 1973, we've taken more than 200 college graduates on scholarship tours to Italy, and that includes college professors.
John has been so supportive of education. You know, John's a believer in education, not legislation. John believes that the future of the industry, the future of the world is in young people, and what can you do to support young people to make their lives better, and it goes beyond just wine.
Part of our family's obligation, and our colleagues as well, that we give more than what we take. I take pleasure inviting all of you to enjoy a glass of fine red wine with me at Castello Banfi. Thank you, compliments from all of us, and continue to keep in mind the consumer and his benefits, and we all have a superb future. May God bless.
Dr. John Mariani, our Lifetime Achievement Award. John, please come up to the podium.
Adam, thank you very much for that laudatory introduction. And I can't tell you, I've never had a more impressive meal with fine wines in a library. You've done an exceptional job. You know, it took Ben Franklin to remind us what the ancient Romans, the Egyptians, the Greeks, and the Chinese knew. That in wine there is wisdom, in beer there is freedom, and in water there is bacteria. The evolutionary change took over. Upon graduating from Cornell, where I learned to admire the free enterprise, and from Professor Kahn, and from the readings from Schumpeter, the economist, that the entrepreneurs are those who create the ideas that create business. And they are the master businessmen because they ask themselves, why not? Coming back from Europe, a military commitment, after college, I tried to introduce my friends into wines, but Our own alcohol, tobacco, firearms division classified wines in those days as an alcoholic beverage. You could not even mention the benefits of wine. The transition has been made into the 20th century, the latter part, where now wine is an accompaniment to food. It brings enjoyment to the table. It knits families together. And what we have dedicated ourselves to at Banfi is a finer wine world. We discovered with the success of Riuniti that we could expand the wine market. Our obligation was to make those wines histamines-free, low sulfites, use electrodialysis instead of chemistry to create wine as a health food. And that's where it is today. We all have a wonderful future in front of us if we dedicate ourselves to more pure and natural wines. I'm very proud of my colleagues in Italy when they won the ISO award, which is the Institute for Standardization, or the Organization for Standardization of Government or Rules Governing Business. It's an institute in 157 countries around the world. And there they judge what is best between business and consumer. The awards were made, and just this last month, 19 world authorities, together with the University of Milan, have published a book called In Pursuit of Excellence. In there is our 25-year history of research of clones in Tuscany. It's our staves, the barrels, the woods, the 200 to 250-year-old trees, our research with the corks, the soils, whether there's bromine or chlorine, whether the soil has too high a salt content, whether you're drawing water from the soil, which may have bromides or chlorides, or you're drawing river water, which may have bicarbonates in it. It goes all the way through. Now the book, which is a text of 450 pages, is being translated into English and will be made available. It's bringing to the forefront what we try to do to expand the wine industry and create wine as one of nature's best foods. Now, with that, I have a group of guests with me tonight because education and the process of education is the key to our future. Tonight, I want to take a few moments because these people are the keystone of our future. You saw on screen Professor Steve Makowski. Steve is here, very honored that he chairs the first in wine education in a major university in the United States. Steve, thank you so much. Along with him is Dr. and Professor Peter Rainsford and his lovely wife, Fran. Peter now is the Vice President of Administration and Affairs up at the Culinary Institute. And a special congratulations to Peter and Fran, because their son just returned from a second tour of duty, his first in Afghanistan, the second in Iraq. And his son is a Cornell graduate and a major in the Rangers. Next, I have Sheldon Margolis, who's one of our key distributors from year back, the first man in the United States to sell 1 million cases in a single year in the state of Pennsylvania for us. Shelley, thanks ever so much. An advisor, Norman Eig, and his wife, Barbara. Norman is the chief counselor to us in financial affairs, a brilliant guy, a great contribution to our organization and my colleagues. Thank you, Norman. Another gentleman over there, Michael Chu. Michael Chu is a friend from way back. Michael graduated the university at Lausanne and then graduated Cornell Hotel School. He reads and writes Japanese, several dialects of Chinese. He's fluent in French, knows some German, Italian, and English. He's a trustee emeritus of Cornell, a presidential counselor on Robert Kwok's board in Asia, and one of the most astute, hardworking gentlemen I've ever met, and he came in from California tonight just to be here for this dinner. There's another gray-haired gentleman, but he's got much more hair than I do, and he's the original John F. Mariani. You see, there are two of us masquerading so we cover more ground. I'm John Mariani, the vintner. He's John Mariani, the wine, food, travel critic. He has a newsletter that comes out every weekend, and I'd advise or ask all of you to subscribe to it. John is just a wonderful donation to the field of food and wine, and a great educator in the process. John, his wife Galina, thank you so much. With me tonight, too, is a very dear personal friend. His name is Peter Meinig from Tulsa, Oklahoma, and Peter's up for that. Peter's our current chairman of the Board of Trustees of Cornell University and a major player in education in the United States. And I say with a great deal of pride that Stanford University was copied after Cornell University. I'm looking over there, and I see Philip D. Belladino. He's one of our key executives. Philip is on tour with the colleges throughout the United States, part of our educational programs. We realized the power of education when I was growing up, and during my 60 years in this industry, I was chair of the Italian Wine Committee in the United States. Our Lucio Sore became chairman of the Sommelier Society, and our Sharon McCarthy is today president of the Wine Educators of the United States. We're very keyed into this field, and Philip is perhaps one of the most entertaining and most knowledgeable people that I know on wine, and he's our ambassador to the various universities and colleges, not only USA, but around the world. Filippo, could you raise your head over there? Okay. Neil Trimble, my cousin and our chief financial officer, and during the last century, Banfi got the award with Riuniti as the outstanding marketing success at the time. We also became the champions in wine and food purchasing on television, network buys as the most efficient buyer of time, besting Coca-Cola and Budweiser. Forget about the wine industry. Neil was the champ behind all of that. Thank you, Neil. There. Oh, no, there is one other guy. His name is Sandy Weil. And Sandy is here tonight because Sandy, if any of you have had the time, I'd like you to read two books, The Real Deal and Tearing Down the Walls. And I'll tell you, here's a man that persevered, used intelligence, cleverness, everything at his command, and made the hard decisions. He's also celebrating his 53rd anniversary tonight, and there's one thing you and I have in common. Not tonight, but Sandy. Thank you. Joan, the woman behind Sandy, and you know what his job has to do to turn the economy in the United States and the finances around. He's taken the time to be with us this evening. Dear Sandy, there's one thing you and I have in common. Shirley, would you get his attention, please? Sandy, behind every successful man stands a surprised mother-in-law. And he'll know what I'm talking about. Okay, we've got our coverage complete through there.
I'm bring Christina up, right? Christina.
Oh, okay.
Let's have Christina and James come up and say.
And one last gentleman, madam, over there.
Okay.
Bob Correo,
Okay.
a dear friend, publisher of Ringside and Courtside, professional basketball and hockey, a connoisseur, wonderful piano player, a championship golfer, a dear friend, and last year, a consumer that took in more than 400 cases of Banfi wine.
And here's
So
here's the new co-CEOs, okay? Let's hear it for them. Thank you.
James, my daughter Christina, I'm emeritus. These are the future. Thank you both.
Thanks a lot. Congratulations, John.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Thanks a lot.
Adam, just one closing word. There's an inscription at Macau on the university in the museum there for wine. Beer is made by man, wine is made by God. God bless all.